What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my most anticipated games as we go to kind of roll over into the new year here in a couple of weeks. I've already got my mind on what's to come, what other games I can go over, and now that the Game Awards and all those shows and whatnot are officially behind us, we've got an idea of the current future lookout. However, as always with this type of video, a couple of caveats straight away. One, I am not talking about 2026 here, I am talking about period, like of all the games we know about, what I am looking forward to the most. In terms of 2026 specifically, I'll have a video on that probably either towards the end of December or around the first couple days of the new year. So, that video is coming, but this is a little different in scope because while not theoretically impossible, I would not expect any of these games to be coming in 2026. All of these are almost certainly farther out than that. I would say 2027 for some of them at the earliest. But either way, all of these games, for one reason or another, represent something that would be of great interest to me personally, which is why they are my most anticipated. However, in terms of games I'm looking forward to generally, there are dozens upon dozens of those. So why these ones, you may ask? Well, obviously we're about to get into that, so let's do just that. Kicking it off at the bottom here, we've got Clockwork Revolution, the upcoming title from inXile Entertainment, which is noteworthy because we haven't seen too much from them since the release of Wasteland 3, but that is part of why I am especially interested in seeing what they do next. Because Wasteland 3 came out in 2020, if you'd believe it, followed on with a few DLCs and stuff, and it was one of the games I first covered really extensively on this channel actually, making all sorts of guides and videos and stuff for it. And in many ways, I would say Wasteland 3 is one of those games that helped me sort of cut my teeth on content creation and, start pushing things in a slightly more professional direction. And the reason I did all that is because Wasteland 3 is a really great CRPG. It doesn't get as much sort of push and pull in the conversation around that kind of thing. But if you watch my old videos, it has consistently ranked as one of my favorites. It's a ton of fun because it's a very good game. And so honestly, that's kind of a big part of why I'm looking forward to Clockwork Revolution. Sure, I want to see what inXile can do next, but the other half of that is that it looks to be inspired by the likes of things like Arcanum, and combined with the features they have shown off that already look pretty promising, and it's got me pretty dialed into this one. I'm really excited to see what they do next. Obviously, I'm prepared for the possibility that it doesn't go entirely to plan, but it looks to be an ambitious title that's doing a lot of cool stuff, and I hope it pans out well, but we shall certainly see. Now, fourth from the bottom, we then have The Expanse, Osiris Reborn, Owlcat's next RPG that is going to be a pretty big moment for them in the sense that it is representative of them trying to do something new. In particular, as opposed to being a CRPG, this is something that at least early gameplay-wise looks to be more akin to something like, say, Mass Effect being the easy comparison. And really, that's a big part of why I'm looking forward to it. So I think if you follow this channel hardly at all, really, you'd probably immediately notice that I take a great interest in basically everything Owlcat is doing. I like what they get up to. Mostly because I just really enjoy their CRPGs, but having played so many of them, I have to admit I'm very curious to see what they do in another genre, and as long as they keep pumping out CRPGs at the same time, which they are via things like Dark Heresy, it's really no skin off my back if they want to spread their wings a little. Not to mention that what we've seen so far does actually look pretty good. And while I am hardly an expert on everything The Expanse, I am decently familiar with it, and I'm excited to learn more about that world via the video games as well. And so one way or another, it's bound to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. But that does bring us to number 3, and this is going to by far be the one I get the most comments about, I'm sure, because I can already hear you furiously typing about it. And that is none other than The Elder Scrolls 6. Now there's a variety of reasons I'm looking forward to this. Obviously I enjoy the Elder Scrolls series, and yet we really don't know too much about it. We got that single trailer many years ago, and only recently have we started to get much info about it at all, as it has finally entered full development, and in the coming years we're likely to hear something about it, but admittedly, we might not even see this until 2029, 2030. That would not be an unreal projection from this. So simply put, we know very very little about this, and it's probably quite some time off. So why is it my most anticipated title? Well, truth be told, one of the big reasons I'm looking forward to this game does not entirely have much to do with the game itself. You see, given both the nature of this job and the types of games I enjoy, etc., and again, the fact that I like the series, there's not really a world in which this game releases and I don't play it. But you could say that about a lot of games. Now, whether or not I like or enjoy this game, however, will come down to whether or not I enjoy it for what it is, whether it advances things or not, etc., the usual stuff. But I am also well aware that thanks to the time that has elapsed since Skyrim, and also just kind of current internet trends at the very least, which are likely to continue for the foreseeable future, it really doesn't matter too much what Bethesda releases with The Elder Scrolls 6, because a lot of people are going to be mad about it either way. And perhaps merely as a morbid curiosity, I'm looking forward to the conversations about it. People are not exactly happy with Bethesda's last couple of releases. Fallout 76 got off to a rough start, but eventually turned it around. Word's still out on Starfield, as it is still waiting on more content that we know is in the works, but a lot of people have understandably already written that game off. And because of those reasons and more, people are not exactly thrilled with Bethesda as it stands. And because of that, I think that specifically is going to clash, obviously, with the people that are just really going to eat up another Elder Scrolls, regardless of what it is. And then both of those sides of the argument are also going to, have to deal with whatever the game actually winds up being, be that good or bad. And I guess to put it very simply, I'm looking forward to the Elder Scrolls 6 because I see a storm on the horizon, and I'm very curious to see how that storm pans out. Because for me, at least, it's either going to be something I enjoy or something that I don't, and I'm fine with that either way. But a lot of people are not going to be normal about it. So we shall see. We are not done yet because we still got 2 to go. Next up, we've got The Witcher 4. This one is relatively simple. I really enjoy the Witcher video games. I like the rest of the series well enough. I've read a couple of the books. They're all right. Personally, as a guy who loves and plays video games for a living, the video games are what I am interested in. And to that end, I've actually been playing them for a significant chunk of my life. I played the original one not too far from when it released, actually. One of the few people who played it back then, apparently, on a computer that was not ready to play it. It took several minutes to load into places. It was a bit of a mess, but I remember playing the original on this old beat-up computer, and it was one of those games I played at an age where it had the opportunity to show me that, games can take on really mature themes and tell these interesting stories in ways that I had not considered previously. And so for that reason, the fact that I enjoyed the subsequent games are all reasons that I'm, obviously looking forward to The Witcher 4 generally, but then you also take into account that we're going to be playing as Ciri this time around. They seem to be doing a lot of cool stuff with that from what they've shown off already, and that's all well and good. But what pushes this into most anticipated territory for me is, perhaps unsurprisingly, the sort of side story next to it, because, as many people are aware, Cyberpunk 2077 from CD Projekt Red did not release to critical acclaim, let's say, perhaps critical notoriety. However, through a lot of work and a lot of investment, they were able to turn that around, especially with the release of Phantom Liberty, and I actually covered all those patches from the time it released until the time it got the DLC and everything. I was pretty locked in for that whole journey. And the way this relates back to The Witcher 4 is, it's time to see if CD Projekt Red can take the lessons it learned from that experience and the time and investment it put into it, and put them into practice and show that they've learned and want to move on from those type of experiences, and The Witcher 4 is obviously where that's going to come into play at. We're going to see exactly what they learned from that experience, and considering they're already talking about trying to put out a trilogy or a second trilogy in the span of 6 years or something, I think it might just go either way, to be honest. But with any luck, it's a good game, and we can enjoy jumping back into the universe of the Witcher series yet again. But that does bring us to our final entry, and if you've been following the channel at all the past couple of weeks, you already know what this is, and that is none other than Alarion's upcoming title, just simply titled Divinity. Now, unsurprisingly, following the success of Baldur's Gate 3 and the massive critical hit that was, they've got a lot of new fans, and a lot of people are eagerly anticipating what they are doing next. Me personally, though, I'm in it specifically for the Divinity franchise. As many people are probably aware if you're watching this now, I used to be a Divinity lore channel at one point. That series means a lot to me. Back when I was just working my sales job at the time, I saw an advertisement for it in a store actually, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, I'll pick it up. And then I was playing it, and I was like, wow, I just have to know everything about this series, and it reminded me of all the video games I used to play that, that sales job didn't exactly let me do, and that led to me making all these like lore deep dive videos and stuff about it, and it got my foot into the door of the YouTube algorithm, which led me to where we are today. And in so doing, however, I got really caught up in the universe of Divinity, as you would probably imagine, and it's always been kind of left open-ended, like where the lore and stuff ends with where the series is chronologically. It was not a satisfying ending, and it looks like with everything we've learned about Divinity, it is finally going to tackle exactly the stuff I wanted to know about the series after covering it for so long. And the reason it is my most anticipated game is basically because it's almost as if Swin walked up to me specifically and was like, hey, what should we make a game about? And then he just did it. And while I obviously don't love all the recent news about their use of like Gen AI and whatnot, but if I'm being honest with myself, there's just not a world in which I'm not going to devour this game and probably make a million videos about it, which is funny because I am old enough and have experienced enough game releases that were, let's say, underwhelming that I know full well that it's very possible that this game doesn't land. And while I would obviously be very disappointed about that, I understand and accept that stuff like that is just simply always a possibility in the world today, but, nonetheless, I'm still super excited about it. I think even if it's underwhelming, I'm still going to get to dive into more of the lore and stuff that they've set up for this universe that I love. And I can't wait to see what they do with it. But for today in this video, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Certainly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, hang around. Maybe you'll get to see me cover some of these games individually. Let me know which games are your most anticipated. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.